The latter represents your current problem, which is that you are trying to climb to the next echelon of success. The Ernie of eggs represents your current environment, which says that you currently have all of your eggs in one basket. And the Three of Webs represents that you need more webs, which means, I believe it can be interpreted, that you need to branch out into other social media platforms. Diversify, cover as many bases as possible. The Sesamerot has spoken. The problem card is represented by different Ernie and signifies that there are some differences between the two of you that you may not be celebrating as positives. The Black Pentagon card is one of conspiracy and government, so either one or both of you are government agents or are simply already conspiring against one another. Not an ideal situation in a romantic relationship. The solution card is an interesting one. It's the night card, which means your problems can be solved at night, and I think we can think of some creative ways to do that, both romantically and as government agents. But an aspect of that is also that we should be counting our lucky stars that we have somebody so wonderful in our life in the first place. But still, watch your back. The Sesamerot has spoken. The problem is represented by the Find the Numbers card, which means we are seeking a value in this particular case. The immediate solution is represented by Near Elma, which means that which we seek has always been close to us and has a big happy smile for us. And the red circle represents a single unbroken line with no beginning and no end, holding in a great deal of passion. So I can interpret from this that not only would your mother be proud of you, but in some way, and depending on your personal belief system, possibly still is. The Sesamerot has spoken. The problem is here represented by Snuffleupagus with a mop, which probably means that you're secretly desiring a clean, fresh start. Current environment is represented by the green rhombus. Typically, this means you are seeking validation. You already know within yourself that this is what you want to do, and you're just exploring the problem from all angles, seeking that validation. And the solution going forward is represented by the mail card, which I believe I interpret that to mean that you should reach out to the folks in the area you would like to move to and correspond with them. So basically, you know what you want to do, and you should do this right, but don't feel like you have to do this alone. The Sesamerot has spoken. Well, this is a fascinating draw. See, your problem card is represented by 3 fish, but your immediate solution card is represented by 4 fish, which are in a fishbowl. Now, if you're monogamous, the 3 of fishes might be a bad thing, because it means there's a third fish in the situation. But for polyams, this would be considered an okay thing. But the 4 fish in their bowls means that first off, the immediate solution is going to be everybody needs to receive the attention that they deserve, and secondly, that everybody is maintaining their self-care and making sure that they're taking care of their immediate personal needs. Long-term solution is Grover with guitar, which means doesn't matter how awkward you are, just vibe with it. Good luck to you all. The Sesamerot has spoken. The problem is represented by the Cookie Monster Circle card, which means that you have a certain ideal in your mind, and it is an ideal of abundance and perfection. Current situation is represented by a purple oval, which means, it has its merits, but by and large, it's sort of a mixed blessing for you, and you kind of wish it was a little closer to ideal. The good news is that your long-term solution card is represented by 20 stars, which means there are many other options out there, and you may find excitement in exploring them. However, be warned that the 20 is also represented by jaggedy shapes, while your ideals are being represented by round shapes, so it could go very easily in the other direction for you. It really is up to you to decide how you interpret the stars. The Sesamerot has spoken. The The problem card is represented by a white square, which typically is a sign of boredom. You are probably bored with your current mode of conveyance. The immediate solution is represented by Bert with the vacuum. I interpret that to mean that you should probably go over detail, clean your car nice and good before you make a final decision. This will either remind you why you love your car in the first place, or at the very least will give it a higher resale value should you choose to go ahead with the sale. Long-term solution card is 15 of trucks. This to me means that you've got quite a lot of shopping ahead of you. You're going to really want to make sure you shop around and take a look at all the options before making any final decisions. The Sesamerot has spoken. The problem card is an interesting one. You've drawn low Super Grover, which means you know your duty, you know you have the power to do it, but you don't exactly feel great about it. The immediate solution card is a gray pentagon, which means things are going to feel very odd and bland for you in your immediate future. The good news is that your long-term solution card is the pie card, which I interpret to mean that you should have a reward waiting for you at the end of it all, something big and warm and juicy that you can look forward to. And your success will make it all the sweeter. The Sesamerot has spoken. The problem card is represented by a yellow rectangle, which I would interpret as being that things are not as normal as you used to, and you're feeling cautious about it. The immediate solution card is represented here by the igloo, which is pretty cut and dry. You need to find and climb into your chill space. The long-term solution card is represented here by the 14 of bottle caps. I choose to interpret this as you have a lot of sweet and refreshing options opening up to you, and you just need to keep an eye out for those. The Sesamerot has spoken. Oh boy, I'm not going to lie, I'm going to try to approach this reading cautiously. Your problem card is represented by the umpire, which I interpret to mean that your greatest fear is being ruled against by somebody in a position of authority, or that has some sort of power over you. Your immediate solution card is the 9 of water. Some people will look at 9 glasses of water and say, oh, look at all that life-giving water. Others will look at that and go, there is no way you're going to get me to drink 9 glasses of water. I'm guessing you're in the latter group, and that's probably why this is unappealing to you. Long-term solution is represented by Cookie Monster with an empty cookie jar. Here's where we have hope. You would think an empty cookie jar would make Cookie Monster upset. But notice he's still got a smile on his face, and maybe that's because Cookie Monster knows there's other ways to get cookies besides out of the cookie jar. Interpret that as you will. The Sesamerot has spoken. Well, this draw is literally unbelievable. Problem card is represented by Elmo liking his ice cream. Now, ice cream is not the most nutritious meal in the world, but it's delicious and flavorful and fun to eat. The immediate solution is, of course, the follow card, which indicates that you should follow any content in which this card appears. The long-term solution card is represented by the two-headed monster telling you to share this content so that other people may enjoy it as well. So thank you for your likes, follows, and shares. The Sesamerot has spoken. The problem card is represented here by the 2 of boats. You'll notice that both boats look very similar to one another, so it's very hard to tell from sight which of these journeys is going to be the correct or best one. The immediate solution position is filled by the push card, which I believe represents that no matter what, you need to recognize that either one of these could be very hard work going forward. A serious, concentrated effort must be made. The long-term solution card is interesting. You've drawn the lemonade card. The symbolism of the lemonade stand cannot be ignored. It's to say, no matter what effort you put forward, always remember that this is about business. My interpretation of this is, regardless of the lemonade you choose to make, it has to sustain you. Just all comes down to which lemonade you think you can sell the most. The Sesamerot has spoken. Well, this is a fascinating draw. The problem position is represented by the 1 of teddy bears. This could possibly be interpreted as that you feel that there's a certain loneliness that would come with hanging on to the things of your youth. Here's where it gets interesting. The immediate solution card is represented by a yo-yo, which is itself a childish toy, but let's keep in mind it's also a toy that requires both skill and effort to keep going. Perhaps this is recognition that both approaches do require a certain amount of energy and effort and skill. And I love this long-term solution card, the 2 of tutus. Now, as a flashcard for teaching children numbers, this card is doing exactly what it needs to do, but it's still found a fun, playful way to do it. Perhaps this wisdom applies to your situation as well. The Sesamerot has spoken. The problem card is here represented by the tie. Now, I can't help but notice that while Big Bird is smiling, that tie is on very tight. So that's an interpretation of that social expectations of normalcy and decency can feel strangulating. Your short-term solution card is the sandwich, and let's keep in mind that while we are seeing some absolutely delicious-looking sustenance, be advised that it is being served by a garbage creature. Your long-term solution draw is interesting. It's the different Ernie card. And my interpretation of this is even though we're looking at 2 different colors, they're still both ducks. And only Ernie knows why Ernie chose to lift up one of the ducks and not the other. So if this is about being your true self, then it is you who truly knows which ducky you wish to uplift. The Sesamerot has spoken. The problem card is a white octagon. Now, the octagon is the most complicated shape in the entire Sesamerot, and you've drawn the white one, which is a sign of absence. So, absence is at the heart of this complicated problem. Short-term solution is brought to us by 18 of carrots. This is a reminder that adulthood and growth are not always pleasant. But it is still good for us, and if we can get through it, we may just get dessert. And the long-term solution is represented by the watch, because sometimes all we need is just some time. I feel like what this is saying is that you should both acknowledge that you are dealing with very difficult, unpalatable things right now, and you should both give each other the time you need to deal with them. And then when you're both ready, come back together, have some dessert together. Be well. The Sesamerot has spoken. The problem is represented by the pink octagon. Pink is the color of warm feelings and emotions. The octagon is the most complicated shape in the Sesamerot. So your feelings are complicated. Now your immediate solution card, the 8 of triangles, is an interesting one. Perhaps what it's saying is instead of thinking of this as one big complex problem, we should instead think of them as a suite of small, simpler, easier to manage problems. And the wide spectrum of colors tells us that we can even prioritize them safely, so that you're not overwhelmed by trying to deal with all of this all at once. The long-term solution is the dry card, which is the thing we do after we cleanse ourselves. So not only will you emerge from this fully cleansed, you will not be alone when it happens. Best of luck to you, and the Sesamerot has spoken. The problem card is represented by the 6 of birds. My interpretation here is that you wish to be addressed equally as compared to the rest of your flock. The immediate solution is represented by Oscar holding up an orange. While this is a gift given with the best of intentions and good for anybody that may receive it, a lot of people will be turned off by the source. But let's also remember that orange begins with an O, as in you don't owe them this information in the first place. It is a gift, and they should be grateful to receive it. Which brings us to the long-term solution card, the newspaper. I believe that this is a reminder that you ultimately have control over the narrative. Perhaps you could meditate on this and let it empower you. But also make sure you're reading the signs and acting with your safety and comfort in mind. The Sesamerot has spoken. The problem card is represented by the eggs. Ernie likes his eggs and would very much like to use them. I interpret this as a sign of your enthusiasm. The immediate solution card is the 1 of teddy bears. This could be considered a good sign, but let's keep in mind that we're asking about additional children, so this could also perhaps be a sign that we must first look to the children we already have and make sure that they are being taken care of and happy and healthy as well. However, that pairs remarkably well with the long-term solution card, the green hexagon. Bees make the cells of their hives in the shape of hexagons, and as anybody that has ever passed a driver's exam will tell you, green means go. Taken together, I believe this reading is a sign that you are both willing and able to prepare a place for new life in your own life. Good luck to you and your family. The Sesamerot has spoken. The problem position is occupied by the quilt card, which I believe represents an attempt to gather up the remnants of past destroyed blankets and try to make something beautiful out of them. Short-term solution cards represented by the purple oval. The oval is a shape of uneven cycles. The purple is a combination of red and blue. So what we see here is a cycle of chaos and uncertainty. So should you choose to take on this task, you should prepare yourself. The long-term solution card is represented by the Two of Boats. An acknowledgement, perhaps, that this is two different journeys that we're thinking about here. Now, the good news is these two ships are going in the same direction. But from the context, the destination is not clear. In recognition of this, it's a good idea to make sure you know where the destination is before you join the flotilla. The Sesamerot has spoken. The problem is represented by the Four of Birds, which means at its base is a curmudgeonly person who nonetheless believes in doing things by the natural rhythm of life, sort of like music. The immediate solution is represented by the Wet card, which is Bert taking care of Ernie, while Ernie gets himself nice and clean. So this is a sign that in your current position you are receiving all the support that you need, getting you ready for your future endeavors. And the solution going forward is represented by the zipper, which I think is pretty open and shut. It's telling you to keep your mouth shut until the time comes. The Sesamerot has spoken.